Murder scene on your man tonight, then come to vigil with the candlelight. Body at the fucking body, and you know Rick reading my Miranda rights.
Do you know what happens when you pretend to be somebody else for so long that you adopt whatever or whomever that somebody is as your permanent identity? What happens is that you eventually start to forget and lose who you really are, right? Like let me give you a personal, real life example of what I mean. I used to be a massive fan of the WWF growing up as a kid. That's right. Back when it was WWF before they got sued and had to change to WWE. WWF, the World Wrestling Federation, right? Huge, massive fan. Back then, wrestling was damn near bigger than life for me early on in the 90s, right? Now, I haven't watched wrestling in decades, but back then, my favorite wrestler of all time, and even still to this day, was and is Bret the Hitman Hart. This is a true story. Just bear with me. I'm going to connect all the dots. I promise. Y'all know I got you. So eventually, I started participating in wrestling matches with my friends, and I eventually met other kids my age using wrestling as kind of like the common ground between us all, you know, and I eventually met a pretty peculiar guy through one of my best friends at the time. And for discretion's sake, to protect myself, we're going to call this guy Jamez. Okay. Now, Jamez just happened to be a huge Bret Hart fan as well. Okay. But Jamez took his fandom way further than any sane person should have. All right. And so he started putting relaxer in his hair and braiding it up so that he could pretend like he had white people's hair, right? So it could be long and stringy like the white people. And then he started telling us that he was born and raised in Canada because, you know, Bret Hart is from Canada. And then he started speaking with a really weird and horrible sounding fake Canadian accent, some shit that he still does to this day, I'm pretty sure. And, you know, before we all knew it, Jamez had changed his last name to Hart. Scout Sonner. I swear to God, this is a true story. I can't make this shit up, all right? So he changed his last name to Hart. And I mean, he even tried to convince people that had known him his entire life that he was from Canada and that the long and stringy permed hair was his natural hair that he was born with. And the last time that I'd ever seen or heard anything about Jamez Hart, he'd been living his life in this blatant lie for so long that no one around him was able to recognize who the fuck he was anymore. Okay. And I believe to this day that Jamez Hart really believes in his own mind that he is who he says he is. Which brings us to the story of William Leonard Roberts II. I'm sorry, y'all may only know him as Ricky Ross. Now, Ricky Ross is apparently sending a cease and desist letter to one Remy Ma because apparently Remy Ma is she's about ready to release a movie on her very own network called, get this, you're going to love this part, The Biggest Boss. Okay. Now, this next part is hilarious because The Biggest Boss, the movie, okay, is supposed to be a film based on the life of a CO, correctional officer, for those who don't know, who steals a drug dealer's life story and flips that situation into his very own rap career. Now listen, None of this is exactly new information, right? We've all heard the jokes, the bars, the references made towards Rick Ross being a cop in the past, okay? But him sending a cease and desist, basically trying to stump out the release of the film, just lends back to my original point at the beginning of this video, which is why? Why does somebody like Rick Ross care so much about this film being made when we all already know the story? Like, we got it all, right? Like, we know that you wasn't living none of the shit you talk about in your raps. It's cool. You not the only one, right? We all know you wasn't slinging dope and dime bags. We all know that you wasn't running around the hood with switches shouting fuck 12. And listen, that's okay. It's cool. You quit being a CO, then took on the moniker of a drug kingpin from LA that started rapping. But see, the culture is so diseased and plagued with sickness that they frown on young black men having meaningful employment.
Wait. So were you a correctional officer at one point?
I was, yeah.
Let me tell you what your baby told me. You ain't got a street bone in your whole body. You're not who you think you are. With your gun in your bed, you think you are. Acting like you moving, blowing the streets. Nigga, where I'm from, we got the hustler E. And you the police.
How long ago?
Maybe when I was 20.
Officer Risky.
Right? So that's probably why Ricky Ross has a problem with this documentary coming out, because even still, he thinks it's a slight to him. And that retarded and deranged way of thinking then gets branded onto the black community. So we end up with people like Rick Ross, even with all of his multi-millions in assets, still believing that his reputation as a nigga from the streets needs to remain valid with these bottom-feeding dirty cockroaches from the hood. That's how we get here. The culture is garbage. It's okay. Listen, you had a job, Brody. You were employed. You filed for taxes like a normal human adult. You punched the clock. And all of that is perfectly fine. But the culture says it's not. Remember what I said about people who spend years of their life cosplaying? Rick Ross has lived under this other persona for so long that he's fully adopted it as his real life and wants everybody else to erase his real past like he has.
What it was like for me when I was 18 with an $80,000 watch or so on and so forth.
Am I waiting for the BET special? Or
No.
can I ask right now, was Rick Ross in his lifetime a corrections officer?
Rick Ross done did it all to get money. I done did it all except set dudes up, put dudes behind bars, and that's what's important to me. And whenever I read a blog or if I came to radio stations, that me being a CEO never been a pressure question for me. Because if I could go back to the hood and sell 50 of them things, I could go sell 50 CDs. So that ain't no pressure at all. So I just wanted to put it in perspective.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Respect my homies that's involved, you understand? And when certain things come up, Ross don't address that. And that's what I'm gonna respect, you know what I mean?
Is that picture Rick Ross?
Yeah, that picture was Rick Ross.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It's a real beautiful day in the neighborhood,
Yes,
and what people gotta know, the truth is far more sinister.
Yeah, and you know what, man? Like if you say that it's a bigger picture and cats don't understand what.
Nah, it's a lot of people it's a lot of people that don't understand, and I don't blame them. Do me the biggest favor. Right. I understand, but it's people that know what's really good, and you know when you make money.
Have y'all seen Departed?
Mm-hmm.
Do you, like there's probably some talk that's going over people's heads right now.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
But I feel what you're saying.
But let me tell you, when I talk about yayo, when I talk about streets, body counts, that's where I really come from. You know what I'm saying? I came up in Carol City, the heart of Miami, and just so happened in my generation, we had a good friend of ours by the name of Kenneth Boobie Williams, who was featured on America's Most Wanted in 1999. You understand? And he was accused for over 200 homicides and running an $80 million enterprise.
When the picture did surface, was it ever in your mind like there's a picture or there's a past, something that could haunt me? Or you was like, no, that's how we got it. That you don't understand.
No, what it was is I'm certified in the streets. You know what I'm saying?
Just like Jameez Hart. they're two peas in the same pod. One esteemed higher than the other. And yeah, I'm sorry, but no. The internet is forever, even for multimillionaires. You can't erase this. It's not going anywhere. You're never beating the allegations. But more importantly, what's so wrong with accepting the fact that at one point in time, you had a job? Because it goes against everything that you rap about in your songs. And I mean, Rick Ross hasn't produced anything of note recently anyway. So my point is, what difference does it make now? You already made it, bro. You've already reached the heights where other people could only dream of in your field. Why still hold on to this fake ass persona? You made it. You did it. You fooled everybody. You won. Why you can't let it go now? It's because of these niggas' egos. Ego is a motherfucker. It will destroy everything in your life. It'll help you. It will motivate you in the interim. It'll motivate you beyond your wildest dreams. It'll motivate you to ascend heights that you never thought that you could reach. But in the end, it will also be your undoing if you're not careful. And Ricky Ross, unfortunately for you, we all have the receipts. The internet can never be fully scrubbed of your past. The internet is forever, even for you. Holla at y'all later.